Welcome to FRCMedia News for Thursday, March 3rd, 2022. I'm Keith Tebow. Masks will come off in Fall River Public Schools beginning on Monday. Mayor Paul Coogan vetoes a city council vote to fund a new diamond, asking city voters to weigh in. And U.S. Senator Ed Markey holds a forum on the opioid addiction and overdose problem in Fall River. All this and more coming up. During a special meeting of the Fall River School Committee this week, Superintendent of Schools Maria Ponce recommended that the mask mandate in public schools, originally set to expire on March 14th, now be lifted beginning next Monday, March 7th. The superintendent says new CDC guidelines announced late last week, combined with new COVID infection data upon students returned from winter break, played a role in her decision.
We are considered a low-risk area. We didn't have that information up until Friday. I consulted with Nurse Long. We've been looking at our data. We actually have had, we were very concerned about returning after break because when we returned after Thanksgiving and in particular after the Christmas break, we had lots of positive cases throughout the break as well as the beginning of that week, and which made it for a very difficult situation for both adults and students. We've only had one reported positive case, adult case, and no student cases. And given the fact that CDC has relaxed its requirements, I am recommending that we actually ease and also lift our mask mandate at the close of school on Friday, March 4th, and make masking optional beginning on March 7th.
Mask mandates will also be relaxed on school buses with the exception of SERTA buses that transport students to Durfee High School. Students and staff who test positive for COVID will still need to follow CDC guidelines in terms of wearing masks for a short period of time when returning to school following a negative test. At the same meeting this week, Superintendent Ponce unveiled the proposed FY 2023 school budget, set to take effect on July 1st. The new spending plan will total $204.7 million, a $25 million increase from FY 2022. The superintendent says the sharp increase is due to additional funding coming down from the state. She says the spending plan is an opportunity for the district to focus on its educational priorities.
We want to make sure that we have quality teaching and learning in every single classroom. We want to make sure that we empower our teachers with the appropriate materials so that they can successfully move our students. We want to make sure that our students that are high needs, that are students with disabilities, our multilingual students, are taught by highly qualified people, that they have the appropriate resources, that we are able to meet them where they are and move them forward. And we want to make sure that we have buildings that support teaching and learning.
The budget seeks to add 155 new positions, most on paraprofessionals and teachers, and also asks the city to spend an additional $2 million for its contribution to schools above this current fiscal year. Mayor Paul Coogan is asking the City Council to hold a special meeting tonight to rescind its vote to fund a new Diman Regional Vocational Technical High School and approve a referendum vote in April for the voters to weigh in on paying the city's share of the $293 million project.
This is an extremely big investment. We have ordinances and there are regulations that dictate how this is handled, and one of them is if the project's over $5 million in bonding, it should go to the voters. That would be my recommendation. That's all I'm asking for, is to allow the public to weigh in on this very, very important project for the city of Fall River. I've told them a number of times I'm willing to help them campaign, but I do not think that a bill over $100 million, not anything less than that, is going to be something that we should do in anything other than the most open, transparent way for all the residents to see how this plays out. We did it in 18 for Durfee. I was skeptical that we could pull that vote off, but we worked hard, and I'm sure we can do the same thing for Diman and get the residents to understand how important it is.
The mayor is asking the council to set a referendum vote for April 11th that will include asking voters to pay for a new Diman through the passage of a tax debt exclusion resulting in higher taxes. Approving a debt exclusion to fund Diman may be a challenge. Voters in 2018 voted to increase their taxes to pay for the new BMC Durfee High School. They will begin seeing their taxes increase to pay for the new Durfee beginning later this year.
It could be tougher, but at the same time, it's an important project. Diman's a key piece of the educational components that are in Fall River, and I think that it's, but that's, whether it's tough, hard, or easy, I think it's the right way to allow the voters to weigh in on this project.
Another special meeting of the City Council will be held next Tuesday night, where Mayor Coogan will deliver his 2022 State of the City address. Here are some of the topics city residents can expect to hear from the mayor.
I think I'll touch a little bit about the new, it seems like we have a very positive working relationship going with the council at this time. The additional money that you referred to earlier for the schools, what's going on in the city with economic development, what's going on both for activities coming up for the summer so that the residents can enjoy living in our city. What are we doing with our parks? There's a number of good things we'll touch on, and I'm hoping it's an upbeat speech that people take the time to listen to and see where we really are in Fall River.
The lifting of the school mask mandate next week comes on the heels of more encouraging news in terms of Fall River's COVID infection numbers. Here's the latest based on results released last Thursday, February 24th. 101 new cases of the virus were reported last week, down from 167 cases the week prior. Vaccination rates remain flat, with 69% of city residents having received at least one dose of the vaccine and 61% fully vaccinated. Only 24% of city residents have received the COVID vaccine booster. There are still ample opportunities to get the COVID-19 vaccine for free in Fall River by visiting frvax.com or by calling 833-8VAX-NOW. That's 833-882-9669. The state also has a web page to locate a vaccination site at vaxfinder.mass.gov. You can also dial 211. Nearly 2 years into the pandemic, local businesses are slowly getting back to normal, but still facing some challenges. One South Coast Chamber co-CEOs Michael O'Sullivan and Rick Kidder say worker shortages caused by the pandemic and rising costs are still obstacles local businesses have to face.
Hospitality industry still struggles with that, but it's retail, it's warehousing, it's all over the place. It's still an issue no matter what category of business, no matter what size business. Staffing's still an issue.
I don't know of a single business that has not been adversely affected by inflation. We all knew that when the government starts to infuse massive amounts of dollars into the marketplace, in an effort to deal with the pandemic, we knew that there would be some consequences to that. And among those consequences are, in fact, the inflation that we're seeing now. I don't know of a single business, quite frankly, including even the ones that most of the ones that we are dealing with as a vendor, we're seeing just about every price go up. That's happening all over the place. It is universal throughout the United States and probably throughout the world. Because governments have stepped in and they've infused a whole lot of dollars in, and you always pay the piper when that happens.
As the pandemic continues to wane, local businesses are looking forward to what may shape up to be a booming summer tourism season.
There is a pent-up desire for people to get out and about. That pent-up desire for people to get out and about has brought about nearly full occupancy for the summer months on the Cape already. We know that while we may not have run out of Greek letters of the alphabet, it is likely that we have this situation more under control than ever before. And what we see is that the tourism possibilities here, and we market this area for tourism as a hub and spoke. We're a less expensive option than a Martha's Vineyard or the Cape, but we have easy access to the Vineyard, to Nantucket, to Block Island, to the Cape, through ferry systems, through the airport. There's so much that we can do that if people want to go out and about, there's so much for them to love here, but they also have access to that. And they have access to those things at a lower price. So we are very, very bullish on tourism going forward. I think that our hospitality industry is going to be rebounding and rebounding quickly.
University of Massachusetts Dartmouth Chancellor Dr. Mark Fuller is optimistic the university will return better than ever once the campus recovers from the effects of COVID-19. He says the university is close to being back to normal with in-person classes and students in dormitories. The university has instituted a COVID vaccine mandate that includes the booster shot, and masks are still required while indoors. Dr. Fuller says, as with other higher educational institutions, UMass Dartmouth has seen a decline in enrollment since the onset of the pandemic, particularly among upperclassmen.
In many cases, there's a lot of jobs available, or people are taking a break from going to school. And so we're seeing a little bit of that at the junior senior level, which is a new thing for us. And so we're monitoring that, trying to see what's going on. On the other side of the coin, we're very, very encouraged about what's looking forward. So we sort of retooled our enrollment management functions this last year when I came in, and really tried to improve our customer service, our outreach, our marketing communications to prospective students. And we have the highest application class. Now that application class has to turn into yields and they have to actually come here, but we have the highest application class that we've had over the last 3 years. So we're very encouraged about, what's going to happen downstream, but we're still sort of living through, if you will, the hangover from the pandemic, and as we move into the endemic status. So a little bit of a dip in some strange places right now, but optimistic going forward.
Dr. Fuller says enrollment has also been negatively impacted by the rise in wages caused by the pandemic, resulting in worker shortages. Regardless, he says a college education is still a great investment with the opportunity to expand earning power 2 to 3 times the increase the country has seen in wages.
Even though those opportunities to get a job at the $15, $16, $17 an hour are out there, and there's a lot of them, there's clearly a high need for the workforce. Higher education and the value of higher education has actually never been stronger. So just like that demand at those lower level wages, which seem high, is out there, there's tremendous demand for college graduates. And then of course there's the master's and the PhD programs beyond that. So if people can stick with it, and this is part of our job, it's part of the community college's job, it's part of my job as a messenger for public higher ed to tell people to pursue the degree, because it can make a 2 or 3-fold difference in their salaries on the back end.
Dr. Fuller, who first served as interim chancellor last January before being appointed full-time in August, is looking forward to a time when the campus returns to normal. He says the university is seeing applications for this fall at pre-pandemic levels, and extra effort is being made to keep current students on the path toward a degree.
We obviously want to continue. We're very excited about the application pool that we have. We want to turn that into enrollment, because that increases the vibrancy and the financial positioning of the university. Or obviously you want to have strong enrollments to increase that positioning. On the retention side, we've brought in a brand new vice chancellor for student affairs. We're in the midst of a provost search on the academic side. And what we're really trying to do is create a unique and sense of belonging amongst our students. So recruitment, retention, so that students persist, because we all get certainly I do, get very frustrated if I see a student leave before they've completed their degree, because that becomes a tremendous waste of money and their time, right? They could spend 1 or 2 years pursuing a degree and suddenly leave before they finish, and they've lost that opportunity to maximize those salaries and those opportunities on the back end that we spoke about earlier.
Dr. Fuller points to the university's expanding research offerings in the areas such as the blue economy and offshore wind as opportunities for students to be at the forefront of emerging technologies integral to the future of the South Coast.
In terms of the UMass system, we actually have an intimacy at our campus that rivals many of the private universities. So whereas many of the other universities tend to be much larger than us, we're limited to about 7,000, maybe 7,500 students, maybe 20% of that at the graduate level, and the rest of those at the undergraduate level. So we have a chance to really get to know our students here. We have high touch classes. We have, I think, the lowest student faculty ratio in the UMass system. So we're really trying to maximize our reputation as a great provider of a high quality education at a research university at a great value, as all the publics do. So we're excited about pursuing all of those, if you will, all those R's: recruitment, retention, research, and an overarching reputation.
We'll have more FRC Media News right after this.
Here are some job descriptions on the latest hot jobs list from the Mass Hire Fall River Career Center. Shift Manager, Starbucks Coffee Company, located at 800 William S. Canning Boulevard, seeks a full-time shift manager to supervise staff and monitor inventory levels to ensure that the restaurant operations run smoothly. Job number 163-34525. Maintenance Laborer, Republic Services, located at 1080 Airport Road, is looking for a full-time maintenance laborer responsible for safely and efficiently performing general labor duties at the transfer station, recycling center, and landfill. Job number 163-44679. Therapeutic Mentor, Family Service Association, located at 101 Rock Street, is seeking a full-time therapeutic mentor responsible for structured one-to-one strength-based supportive services that address daily living, social, and communication needs. Job number 163-44453. Diesel Technician Mechanic, Penske Truck Rental, located at 36 Lawton Street, is looking for a full-time diesel technician mechanic. For more information, call 508-676-7019. Blount Fine Foods, located at 630 Current Road, has an immediate need for the following full and part-time positions. Human Resources Specialist, job number 163-43733. Learning and Development Instructor, job number 163-43732. For more information about these or other positions, visit Mass Hire JobQuest at jobquest.dcs.eol.mass.gov or call the Mass Hire Fall River Career Center at 508-730-5000.
Thursday, March 17th is St. Patrick's Day. And if you want to partake in the great leprechaun hunt here at the Fall River Public Library, come and join us at 4 o'clock. We're starting out with a wonderful story, How to Catch a Leprechaun, and then we'll be searching through the library for that sneaky little leprechaun himself. On the way, you'll pick up a little St. Patrick's Day bag to gather up all the gold coins you'll be finding throughout the library, shamrock rings, and other surprises. And for whoever finds the leprechaun himself, we have a special prize for you. So if you want a fun challenge, join us for our great leprechaun hunt, Thursday, March 17th at 4 o'clock here at the Fall River Public Library.
Welcome back. U.S. Senator Ed Markey led a virtual discussion last week with Mayor Paul Coogan and local health officials and advocates on Fall River's efforts to combat opioid addiction and overdoses. The state saw a record 2,100 overdose deaths in 2020, with Fall River recording 75.
We know the statistics alone can't begin to tell the full story. Each death means a family upended by tragedy, dreams shattered, community struggling to meet the need for care. The bottom line is that we have a crisis of addiction in our country, and there are no vaccines to combat this epidemic. But as we try to cope with these immeasurable losses, we must remind ourselves prevention and treatment work, and recovery is possible. Through community champions like Mayor Coogan and everyone else, you have just a first-class team. And in Congress, I am proud to fight for funding to support these locally led efforts. As part of the CARES Act in March of 2020, Congress included $100 million for SAMHSA, the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration, to respond to the impacts of the pandemic on behavioral health and substance use. The American Rescue Plan, passed in March of 2021, provided $4 billion in additional funding to address the addiction and mental health crisis exacerbated by COVID-19. And that additional funding boosted total federal spending for mental health and substance use prevention and treatment in Massachusetts to $380 million in fiscal year 2021.
Substance abuse prevention advocates at the event alerted Senator Markey to the severity of the opioid problem here in Fall River and delays in service experienced by those in need. The senator said he is working on a bipartisan basis on bills that will help provide relief for those seeking treatment.
The Opioid Treatment Access Act would reduce restrictions on how long and where addiction treatment specialists can prescribe take-home methadone for patients in recovery, eliminating decades-old regulations that place unnecessary burdens on doctors and patients. And we also have to invest more in our behavioral health infrastructure. And for that reason, I am going to just be fighting hard to increase dramatically the amount of funding that is there to support communities battling the addiction crisis. We need billions more over the next year as well, in every year, year after year.
We'll put a wrap on this edition of FRC Media News right after this.
Thursday, March 17th is St. Patrick's Day. And if you want to partake in the great leprechaun hunt here at the Fall River Public Library, come and join us at 4 o'clock. We're starting out with a wonderful story, How to Catch a Leprechaun, and then we'll be searching through the library for that sneaky little leprechaun himself. On the way, you'll pick up a little St. Patrick's Day bag to gather up all the gold coins you'll be finding throughout the library, shamrock rings, and other surprises. And for whoever finds the leprechaun himself, we have a special prize for you. So if you want a fun challenge, join us for our great leprechaun hunt, Thursday, March 17th at 4 o'clock here at the Fall River Public Library.
Welcome to Hot Dogs and Cool Cats. Today we got Cappy, our 11-year-old male. He's white and tabby. Came from Puerto Rico a few days ago. Cappy, he's fully vaccinated, is neutered. He's pretty much almost all set to go home. He's just waiting to find his forever home. So with Cappy, since he came from Puerto Rico, he's one very curious little cat. So when you would get Cappy home, he'll be intrigued with spots. He'd want to explore a lot, just till he gets comfortable with where he is. So if you'd like to meet Cappy, why don't you come down to 300 Lidwin Street at Forever Paws Animal Shelter and meet the little man. Today we have Bert. He's our 14-year-old mixed dog. He came from Puerto Rico a few days ago. So with him, he's very curious about where he is now, since he just came from a hot place to a cool situation. With him, since he's puppy, we'd ask kids no younger than 12 years old. Given he's a puppy, he's going to have those puppy traits of the biting, the jumping, the constant barking. With Bert, he is fully vaccinated, has not been neutered yet, so we're still waiting to get him in before we can let him go home. So if you want to meet them, you can come on down to 300 Lidwin Street over at Forever Paws and come meet Bert.
That's all for this edition of FRC Media News. Please visit our website at frmedia.org for all the latest news and information. FRC Media News airs Thursdays at 6 p.m. and Fridays at 5:30 p.m. For all of us at FRC Media News, I'm Keith Tebow. Have a great weekend, and we'll talk to you soon.